Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday already. Before we get started with today's lesson, I want to say that it was so much fun seeing a lot of you guys yesterday at Locker Pickup. I'm going to be there again today, so I would love to see a lot of your wonderful faces. It was really fun for me. Um, all right, today's lesson basically is another reading strategy. And this reading strategy is called piling together traits to get theories. I'm just going to call it trait plus trait equals theory. And you'll see what that means in just a second, more specifically. So, the reason that we use a strategy like this is because as you get older and as you become more advanced readers, especially in middle school and high school, books become more complex and the characters in them are a lot more realistic. So they don't seem as cheesy maybe as they did in elementary school where they're just kind of one-sided. They're a lot more they're a lot more round as opposed to being a flat character. But because of this, it can be kind of tricky to decipher or to make theories about a character's personality. Okay, so this strategy basically, the point of it is for you to craft a theory about a character based on a bunch of different small thoughts or small noticings or wonderings or traits that you notice about a character. So we're not just picking one point in the story where we're saying, oh, the character seemed this way right at this point in the story. I'm gonna theorize about them. No, you're piling together a lot of different traits or actions that you notice from your character throughout the book, and then making a theory based on that. Okay, I'm gonna show you more about what that means. Okay, so this chart is what your assignment for today is going to be, and it's just a way to help you organize your thoughts. Okay, eventually, and besides just class time, hopefully the end goal here would be for you to be able to do this without needing a chart necessarily. So again, this is just help you organize your thoughts. Okay, so basically the theory that you are trying to build about a character, and for this assignment, it's going to be either a character in the crossover or in your independent reading book. But the theory that you're trying to build is what archetype do they best fall into? Um, what causes them to act the way they do, or are they more good or evil? Okay, I strongly suggest that you focus on which archetype they best fall into because I think that will be the simplest and the best and maybe easiest way to use this strategy. Excuse me. So, my example, actually, to be fair, this isn't my example. This is Mr. Michael's, but it was really good. And so I'm going to use it for my lesson. Shout out to Mr. Michael. Um, I am going to use Mr. Michael's thoughts here to model for you. I picked Chuck, or the dad from the crossover, and a trait that I noticed about Chuck is that he's funny. He's always telling jokes to Josh and to Jordan, and he's trying to make things more enjoyable. So he jokes around a lot. He's very playful. I put that here under trait, and then I explained how I know. Okay. Now, the thing about dad and the reason that this strategy is important is he's not always funny. He's not literally funny 100% of the time in the book. So I'm compiling together different traits that I noticed from him. The next one is experienced. Okay, so he was a great basketball player and played professionally overseas. I would also add too that he just kind of has a lot of experience with life and marriage and having a family. So besides just being funny, he has a lot of experience under his belt. And then finally, the last trait is wise. So I know this because the dad basically is giving advice to Josh and Jordan, especially when they're not getting along or when things aren't really going well in Filthy's life in particular. So this often comes, sometimes it comes when dad is being funny, kind of through like a rhyme type thing or his little words of wisdom or basketball rules that he makes up. But other times he's being really serious. Either way, I think he's wise a lot of the time. So I take all of these traits. He's funny, he's experienced, he's wise, and in my mind, I'm going to make a theory. So a theory is just basically here's an idea I have, and it's combining all of these traits. What can I say about Dad? And my theory here, or Mr. Michael's theory, is what archetype Dad falls into. So remember, an archetype is like a cookie cutter type of character that serves a purpose and a story. And I theorize that Chuck, or Dad's character archetype is the sage or mentor. So if you remember, the sage or mentor kind of guides the protagonist along. When we talked about I'm sorry, I'm really tired and I'm blanking on the name. When we talked about the signposts of reading fiction, the words of the wiser also it's a good note that when you come upon a words of the wiser moment in a book, it's often a sage or mentor character archetype. Okay, so my theory, I also need to explain why. Chuck is a sage mentor because he's often giving advice to Josh or Jordan. He practices and trains with the brothers. He's helping them grow. He kind of guides them along through the story. Okay, so this is an example of a solid theory that I built off of multiple traits. Okay, your job for today is to listen to the next part of the crossover, and then you're going to complete this chart, a blank one. You can choose to complete it on another character from the crossover or on a character from your independent reading novel. It is up to you. I also suggest that you use the character archetypes notes from yesterday's lesson or that slideshow just to review, because I know it can be hard to just memorize and keep in your brain all of those character archetypes, because there are plenty more than just the sage mentor. Okay. Finally, I am helping out with locker pickup again today, as I said earlier, but I'm helping from 10 to 2, which means that my office hours in the morning and my office hours in the afternoon won't be possible. Okay, so I'm not going to be available today via office hours. However, I will have my phone on me and you can email if you have any questions. If something urgent comes up and later in the afternoon you want to set up a time to go to my office hours, I'd be happy to pop in there and just talk to you individually. Otherwise, I'll try to be really good about checking my email and responding to any questions you have. Okay? I hope you have a great Thursday, and I hope that I see some of you at Locker Cleanout.